Hello and welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew, and today we're going to talk about the first 8 months with Xbox Series X. So, if you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's get started with this. So, 8 months ago, today, I received my Xbox Series X from Microsoft in the mail. Since then, I have been able to play hundreds of games on it and probably clocked in more than 2,000 hours easily since I've gotten it. So my first experience on the Xbox Series X, right when I got everything set up and loaded onto it, was Assassin's Creed Valhalla at 60 frames a second. That game changed my outlook on open world games to this day. I do not want to play them at 30 frames a second anymore, even if I have to take a little bit of a downgrade for the in terms of resolution or whatever. I mean, it still looks pretty freaking good on the Xbox Series X. The second experience I had was Dirt 5. Both of these games I bought just before the Xbox Series X launched, and these did have free upgrades with smart delivery. So my save files transferred right over. I left off exactly where I stopped playing on my Xbox One X. And yeah, the experience was seamless, smooth, right from the very beginning. So smart delivery is amazing. The UI and everything on the Xbox wasn't changed, drastically from the Xbox One X. So it literally felt like a seamless experience. I don't care about the 4K UI or anything else that isn't there, and honestly, I'm grateful that the experience, the user experience, stayed pretty much the same as what it was before. A lot of people could say that, well, that doesn't feel next gen, but compared to the PlayStation 5 UI is all over the place. So being able to have that cohesive experience, that seamless experience from transferring from the Xbox One X to the Xbox Series X was perfectly okay with me, perfectly fine. I completely enjoyed it, and I am grateful that it stayed the same. So at launch, I was able to upgrade my SSD, get a whole nother terabyte. I actually traded my PlayStation 4 Pro to get that. So, and I mean, it was basically a straight across trade for that. A couple of things I had with the PlayStation 4 Pro, I was able to trade that right over for a new for an SSD to put in my Xbox Series X. So I have more than enough games that are Xbox Series X enhanced to probably fill both the storage and my expanded storage twice over. So that right there just tells you that there are a lot of developers and Microsoft that are going out of their way to enhance these experiences. And I mean, these aren't just like minor enhancements. These are, we're getting 60 FPS. We're getting 120 FPS. We're getting, 4K resolutions. We're getting much better textures and faster loading and streaming and everything. Like, this is an amazing... Like, my first 8 months with Xbox Series X, like, no doubt has been amazing. Like, I have not been left wanting at all. I mean, we knew that when the Xbox came out that there wasn't going to be any true next-gen games. And Microsoft basically told us this. Developers are still working on, cross-generation games. So on the Microsoft side, we haven't received really anything that was completely next gen. I mean, we've gotten the Medium. It was a decent game. I liked it. I enjoyed my playthrough of that. And Gears Tactics, I'm not really an RTS kind of guy, so that really didn't... I mean, I did download it free on Game Pass and check it out, but aside from that, like, I didn't really get into it or play it that much. We've had updates for both Forza Horizon 4 and Gears 5 that have completely transformed these experiences for the better. Playing playing Forza Horizon 4 at 60 frames a second is truly an amazing experience. I love it. I think it's great. I am so grateful that update was given to us, and Microsoft hasn't charged us for any of these upgrades. They've all been free, aside from a few third-party developers that have charged for upgrades. Usually they're right around $10. You know, like the Tony Hawk Pro Skater. We got, but if you had if you had already bought like the deluxe edition of that, it was free. We've had Wreckfest that was $10. We've had, the more expensive ones have been Control. You had to buy a whole new game, which was $40, and then you had Devil May Cry. I bought both of those. I do like the enhancements. I think the Devil May Cry one feels a little rushed in my opinion. Like they could have probably done better if they wanted to add all this ray tracing and stuff to it. But other than that, like I'm pretty happy with the experience. It does hold, a higher native resolution the majority of the time. So basically everything that we've had in the first 8 months of the Xbox has basically been upgrades and new cross-gen games that have come out and taken more advantage of the hardware. But it hasn't. They haven't really like gone out of their way to do a lot when it comes to it. I mean, we're still getting games that are looking pretty. I mean, they're just blurring the lines of cross-gen. So some other honorable mentions for free upgrades: Metro Exodus, completely amazing game. We've had Doom Eternal. Yeah, those are probably some of the best upgrades I've seen yet. Is that Doom Eternal? Now we're getting a native 4K balanced option. We're getting 1800p with ray tracing, and we're getting 1800p at 120 frames a second. And these are using the VRS, variable rate shading, which is pretty freaking amazing. Like this game runs so smooth now. I mean, it already ran pretty smooth on the Xbox One X, but now it looks better, it runs better. I can't get enough of my Doom Eternal experience. So Xbox, on the Xbox Series X, we have been getting a lot more consistent 60 FPS games, and like this has been amazing. Like almost so many of these games coming out have been a 60 FPS. I'm glad that developers are actually trying to attain this 60 FPS, and do more of a balance, between the 60 FPS and the and the resolution and image quality of this. Like this is amazing, guys. Like I'm so happy with my experience with the consoles this generation that it's just it's gotten a lot better. I can play games like Assetto Corsa Competizione at a pretty stable 60 frames a second now. That just wasn't the case on Xbox One X. That game was pretty heavy and pretty CPU bound, so it was definitely, it wasn't the optimal experience. It was still playable, but now it is definitely playable. Some of the system stuff that you get with the Xbox Series X, you get FPS boost. Over 97 titles 98 now with Dark Souls 3. You have 98 games that have just system level been upgraded to either 60 frames a second or 120 frames a second, which is pretty amazing. It transforms those experiences. The one downside of that is all of these games are basically using the Xbox One S version of them, so you're not getting the higher visuals and stuff that you would normally have gotten from those. But there are some exceptions to that, like Tomb Raider, the Shadow of the Tomb Raider. This game is now looking pretty amazing. It's holding that 4K resolution most of the time and delivering a pretty stable 60 frames a second. So that is definitely a plus, and I would like to see them be able to incorporate this FPS boost more into Xbox One X versions of these games. That would be a lot better. We have Auto HDR, which some games it might not look that great, but if you go into the game and you turn down your brightness setting all the way, usually that helps and it makes it look a lot better. Like Batman Arkham Knight, it looks so much better if you turn the brightness down and allow the auto HDR to kick in. It looks really good. System level enhanced backward compatibility for the Xbox, which like games like Assetto Corsa Competizione are now running at a higher frame rate. They're running at higher resolutions. Everything is doing a lot better. Like the experience on the Xbox moving from the Xbox One X to Series X has been an extremely transformative experience, in the point that all the games that you've already bought are now running and looking and feeling better than you've ever played them before, and that's a good thing. I mean, people can sit here and use the argument about playing old games. Well, you know what, man? If you buy those games and you enjoy playing those games and they get free enhancements and they work and they play better, like, that's not a bad thing at all. Like, that's actually great. I am grateful that my Xbox Series X has allowed my gaming experiences to be better, because I still go back and play a lot of my games. I've got a lot of games that are in my backlog that I still haven't touched yet, that have been enhanced or getting free enhancements, or just using the system level enhancements. Like, that's a good thing. Smart delivery has been amazing for this console generation. There's a lot of guys on the PlayStation side that just do not have the luxury of being able to have their console download a game and their save at the same time right when they start playing it. I give Microsoft props for this smart delivery and being well thought out and well, implemented extremely well, because this feature works, and boy, is it one of those things that, wow, you look at PlayStation and you're like, how do you not have this? This seems pretty basic, but at a system level, wow, I can't even tell you the steps I've had to go through on some of my PlayStation 4 games after upgrading to PlayStation 5 has just been irritating, to say the least. Like, I don't understand how PlayStation has not found a way to put this in the PlayStation 5. Like, they need this, like, bad. Free next-gen upgrades have been a major boost for... I get how Microsoft probably has to do this, just because of the lack of being able to put content out, up till now. This is the first month that we're going to get where the Microsoft exclusives are going to start kicking off, monthly. I mean, we're getting Flight Simulator this month. That's going to be an amazing experience. The possibilities of the cloud being able to stream in that world data so that you can literally fly all over the world. I am optimistic about that. I am very intrigued at just how xCloud can actually, or Azure, or their AI cloud infrastructure can bring a more cohesive experience to gaming. In terms of better AI for NPCs, maybe more dynamic changing worlds, more. Just the possibilities are technically endless when you have a supercomputer computing all this and then streaming that alongside while you're playing your game native. I mean, if your console's running all the gaming stuff and all the movement and everything else, and that's all native, but then the cloud is streaming in the data, the background data that you need to do all of that, that could free up a lot of resources on your console and give you a way better... I'm excited for the future of this. Like, This to me is probably the most important next-gen feature to date, above resolution, above FPS, and above streaming data with the power of the SSD in both of these next-gen consoles. Just being able to stream this stuff as fast as we can, like, loading times have been cut to basically nothing. These new consoles are by far, I think, the most advanced technical consoles we've ever had. Ever, like literally ever, both PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. I am really excited about this cloud thing. I mean, PlayStation has signed an agreement with the Azure crowd, Microsoft, so they'll possibly be able to use this same type of structure or data to enhance their experiences on the PlayStation 5, which is great. Like, I want that. We want that. We want everything to move forward and be able to run, in harmony, with being able to bring streaming this, like I'm saying, world map sizes, being able to stream in, new AI, like custom AI for NPCs. Like the possibilities of that are pretty endless, and we will find out this month when Flight Simulator launches just how amazing it's going to be. So, Game Pass. Game Pass is the last thing that I had on this list, just since, because I'm a little over 3 years with my subscription now, and that's been consistent, basically since I got, the Xbox One X. Maybe a couple months after that, I decided to go ahead and download Game Pass. But before that, I was buying a lot of games, so I didn't really see Game Pass as being a viable option for me. But since the launch of the Xbox Series X, there have been more and more value added to that, and I have been able to like kind of kick back and not purchase games right when they come out, and kind of let them hit Game Pass and stuff like that. And I have taken advantage of Game Pass a lot more lately. Dark Alliance, I wanted to play that game, but I'm glad I was able to download that on Game Pass. I could have done Outriders and MLB The Show, but MLB The Show I normally just buy one of those every 4 years. So I went ahead and I bought the Jackie Robinson edition on that, so I could play a few days early. Outriders, I went ahead and picked that up because that's one of those games that I was already planning on buying, and I want to support the developer whenever I can get a chance to do that. So I went ahead and picked that up. But there's been other games in here, like The Medium. I went ahead and played on on Game Pass. I thought that was a fine experience. I download some games every now and then. The Outer Worlds, I just downloaded that on Game Pass and was playing that. So I mean, the savings are there, and every month, like now, I mean, we're gonna get Ascent this month. We're gonna get Flight Simulator. You get to download Halo on your Game Pass subscription. You also get to download Forza Horizon 5 on your Game Pass subscription. I'm still going to buy the Halo and the Forza Horizon 5. I'm going to buy these games because they're games I just want to own, and but other than that, like the amount of savings that you can get on Game Pass has been truly worth the investment into the Game Pass ecosystem. You can start with an Xbox Series X and pay the $15 a month and have more than enough content, especially if you're new to the platform. You can have more than enough content to keep you going for, I would say, well over 2 years. And if you buy 3 years of gold, you can convert that to Game Pass for as little as $1. And Microsoft is perfectly okay with you converting that up to 36 months. And I mean, just that alone, the savings that you would get there are truly amazing. So, yeah, there's some ways to get some Game Pass and go ahead and give yourself a financial break for a little while doing that. So, yeah, my first 8 months with Xbox Series X have been more than positive. I will probably update this every year or every month. Just to kind of, well, I don't know. Every month seems a little extreme. But 8 months just kind of felt right, because now we're a couple weeks away from when we're going to start getting all of our launch games that should have launched with the Xbox Series X throughout the end of the year. So I will update this after I play each of these games and let you know exactly how I'm still feeling about my experience, and if these next gen titles are actually living up to the promises that Microsoft made on the box with the 4K 120 and everything else. So I haven't really been able to pass judgment on the Xbox Series X because of that. So once I start getting these next gen titles, then I will be able to better articulate how the Xbox experience really is. But we're going to need that content. I mean, you can't depend on third party. So if you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next show.